Okay, looks like we're live. Today I want to talk about Quarkchain and is it the new Chinese ICO hustle? I want to explain what this concept of the new ICO hustle is. This is a little bit of gossip and a little bit of drama, but I think it's pretty funny to read some of this shit that people say about ICOs. And, it's kind of like a battle. One guy wants to buy it, then he can't, then he gets butthurt, then he starts posting FUD about it. Or maybe it's legitimately pretty fucked up what these guys are doing. So, anyways, I think that we can make our own decision. And by the way, this isn't investment advice. And I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible, but I think this shit is funny. So, let's get started. So, this is a Reddit post earlier today in our cryptocurrency. It's really funny. There's a user named XR Baller, and I'm going to read what he has to say about Quarkchain. He says, Quarkchain is trash. There's a new ICO hustle, or there's a new Chinese ICO hustle. Instead of having a regular ICO where 60 to 70% of the coin is sold in ICO presale and somewhat widely distributed, these coins just have small little ICOs where they sell 5 to 20%. They then instantly spend 5 million on a Binance listing with the ICO proceeds. This allows them to generate hype and boost the price of the coin rapidly while also creating massive initial liquidity on Binance. So just a little summary, he's calling them out and saying that what they did was they're like, hey, we've got this coin, let's start selling some of it. They sold it with that money that they got. They just immediately went and bought placement on one of these exchanges, Binance. So, then he says, once the coin lists on Binance, the devs can unload their supply at 10x what they would have sold for at ICO. Done this way, the team can make double the money while only selling half of the coins versus just holding a regular ICO. Plus, they get the additional exposure, benefits, etc. of Binance. Most respectable ICOs in the past wouldn't feel right in spending so much money on an exchange listing, but now we see it as a savvy and cutthroat business decision. Iotex literally just pulled this exact same move, and look at the post-listing dump as the Iotex team continually dumped the price back under 600. Okay, so let's unravel this a little bit. I think that the biggest claim is like they gained a lot of capital from investors, and now they immediately parlayed that into just buying off an exchange so they can get on exchange. And I think there's really two ways to look at this. So I'm going to try to be in the center somewhere and kind of look at both sides. Like some people might just say, these guys are fucking brilliant. Like they've mastered the art of the ICO. And this is a really changing market. Why do they have to follow anybody's standard? Is what they're doing illegal or not? And so on the positive side, imagine if you built your own shoe or something, right? You built your own shoe and, you raised some money to build it, and, you could build the most amazing shoe, but if you don't get it into a store, how are you going to sell it? So you'd either have to have really amazing digital marketing and hit it out of the park and great product and all that, or you'd need good placement in a store. And so in a way, getting into those shoe stores is sort of like getting into an exchange for ICOs. But anyways, let's keep reading through this. And but then again, on the negative side first, let me explain the negative side is that all of these people who believe in your project gave you all this money, right? And you immediately took it and shuffled it out of your bank account into somebody else's bank account. That money, the problem there is that money is not going towards the actual product development. So some people might find that to be really concerning, where you're just taking that money to pay somebody else off. But it is related to their project success in a way, because if they can't have liquidity, then, a lot of people are speculating on these tokens because they need the liquidity. They want to be able to move it around and sell it whenever they want. So it's kind of a balance maybe. So let's keep going in. This guy's funny, actually. So he says, in Quarkchain's case, they only sold 20% with a 16% lockup. That means only 4% of the supply is currently on the market. Yet they are simultaneously listing on many exchanges, including Binance. Binance even had to delay the listing because of this. So I'm going to stop right there because it kind of sounds like what he's saying is that Binance is acting shady, or thinks that Quarkchain is acting shady maybe, and that they didn't want to do it because maybe they figured out, wow, these guys are only putting 4% of their tokens here. Can we do that or not? But I don't know. So Binance even had a delay. Okay, so who do you think is going to be selling and providing liquidity once Binance opens up? Of course, it will be the Quarkchain team themselves selling most of the tokens. This initial supply constriction also makes it much easier to boost the price of their coin. I mean, the devs are literally buying their own coins on Iotex, pumping this to the sky. Okay, so now he's accusing them of, manipulating the markets too. He's saying now that he believes the devs are going out there and buying up all of this shit and inflating the prices. So he says both naturally and through manipulation. Look at what happened with Bitcoin and that absurd pump when a small part of the supply was isolated for trading. All right, so let's continue. Quarkchain, this is where it gets funny to me because, this guy, some people may think that he is just butthurt or he couldn't get me, but who knows, right? So he says, Quarkchain is a no-name team of Chinese opportunists who saw Zilliqa had a great idea and they blatantly ripped them off while adding exaggerations and embellishments to their white paper. Exaggerations and embellishments to their white paper by adding that they had 1,000 or 1 million TPS. But then he says the testnet only had 5 nodes and only does 2K TPS, right? So he's saying basically they're having some bold claims about how many TPS they're going to hit, but in reality, they're only hitting 2K right now with these 5 nodes, and that it looks like bullshit. So, but maybe it's a matter of time. I doubt that they're saying that they're going to get a million TPS right off the bat. But then he says, Iotex is kind of shady, but you are far better off buying Iotex than this Quarkchain scam. So this guy could be an Iotex shill, I mean, he's not just saying, hey guys, don't buy this shit. He's saying, don't buy this shit and buy this shit instead. And he has 126 points on this post, or he's been upvoted a few times on this. And this is the most popular post here. And then he kind of wraps it up with this. He says, you have been warned. Anyone telling you otherwise has tiny ICO bags and wants to dump them for max. Just look at their Telegram and all the people celebrating the money that they are about to make dumping on Binance with the devs. No one is thrilled about holding this long term and seeing what happens. So not investment advice, guys. I probably already said that like 5 times, but this is just a little bit of drama. And then he wraps it up with one final sentence. He said, this is the newest ICO hustle. So that's what's really interesting to me about this, is that ICOs are an ever evolving way. Like teams that are launching these ICOs, they're finding a lot of clever ways to do it. And I remember when a lot of people that I knew that were buying tokens and trading them, one of their main concerns was that this shit's never going to make it onto exchange. And every time someone was trying to create some kind of value behind a token, their first concern was, is this shit going to make it onto exchange? And why is that? Because that's liquidity. That's when they can sell it, right? So that was the number one question. It was like in 2017, probably early 2018, everybody was like, is this shit even going to have a chance to get on exchange? So in a way, this is smart if you think about it, because after you hear that 1,000 times, you're going to be like, okay, I am just going to make sure that my token gets on the exchange. If I have to parlay some of this cash over it. So it might just be people are hating on them for like understanding the game. Um, but to me, what I really look at is, are they going to be able to achieve the goals that they're going to be able to achieve? So maybe I am a biased party because when I see that they moved all this capital that could have been deployed to making a great product, moving $5 million immediately out of your stakeholders' hands and into somebody else's hands is pretty risky, actually. I feel like, and just coming from a traditional product background, I am worried about that. I think that that is a worry, but this is a different game, so these guys might just know it better, and maybe they're just playing hardcore 3D chess and nobody else gets it. Um, and so this is this concept of this new ICO hustle. And so what I think investors are really trying to do is they want to know what the hustles are too, because they actually want to join them in these hustles. They're like, fuck, these Quarkchain guys are smart. Yeah, that's brilliant. They're just going to jack the price up and then dump it all. I mean, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do, but some of these guys are probably, you know, just trying to figure out what the hustles are so that they can do it too. And what do they care? It doesn't matter to them, especially if they just plan on flipping it. And that's like, I feel like that was a theme of 2017 from, the information that I have, which is probably limited, but I do, I am exposed to a little bit more information than the average person. But it seemed like, people wanted to buy shit at a discount, flip it when it hit the market, right when you get liquidity. It was a flipper, kind of like a flipper's market, I feel like. And, there's ways to circumvent that as one of these founders. And one is probably to sell less tokens like this. Now you didn't get your whole token storage flipped. And then also, there's locks and different things you can do to prevent this. But I wanted to just talk about this new Chinese ICO hustle. I feel doubtful that it's just Chinese that are doing this, so this might be almost a kind of prejudice, actually. So, yeah, so let's see how this pans out. I did want to read one last. There was another comment in here that I thought was kind of funny that's more towards the drama, and I'll try to read it as quickly as possible so we can get out of here. But said these Quarkchain people are extremely shady. This is from a different guy whose name is Tron is Trash. So these guys are just like FUD masters, basically. Most people realize huge pump and dumps are bad for a coin in general, yet these people are doing everything they possibly can to cause a temporary boost in the price of this coin. Only explanation I can come up with is the devs want to make as much as possible in liquidity, blah, blah, blah. So he's kind of saying the same thing. They restricted the supply massively before Binance listing, which makes it easier to manipulate the price. Okay, I won't read the rest of it, but there's a few concerns. A lot of people, when they hear that like this might be a scam or something, the first thing that they're saying is like, well, look at the Telegram. The Telegram is popping off. And I'm a big believer in this Telegram metric is just total bullshit. And I've just seen people waste so much time. Like I've seen fashion brands, for example, that, think that because they got Instagram or what, it doesn't matter at all. It's not a metric. It's what they call a vanity metric. It doesn't equal anything substantial in your application or your business. I mean, other than getting some weak acquisition. So when somebody comes at me and says, there's all these people talking about it on Telegram, well, I'm also seeing that they had a really amazing marketing campaign where anybody who bought into this shit was immediately incentivized to go and share it by getting popped up on a list or getting deeper discounts or whatever. And so to me, of course people are going to be talking about it on Telegram. There's a bunch of fucking shills out there just, dumping this out. Or there could be. I mean, it could be really substantial chatter on Telegram, but it doesn't matter whether it's substantial or not, because you have a bunch of shills that are going to show up high on the Telegram stats, and then you have maybe legitimate. And so it's like all of these shills are drowning out the substantial chatter in Telegram. So those metrics are kind of meaningless. And so, maybe one little final thought I'd like to leave on is just brought up an idea that we should be doing sentiment analysis and like shill analysis. This would be really great to do with AI to figure out whether or not somebody this action that's happening in Telegram, we should analyze it. We can read the telegrams and figure out whether or not these people are just shilling or they have something substantial to say that is a substantial value. I think that that would be a more effective way of looking at the Telegram stats and seeing whether or not they should reflect the value of one of these ICOs or not. But that's it. Yeah, just subscribe, and if you have any comments about Quarkchain, please leave them, even if they might be controversial. It's okay. I'm sure a lot of people will hate me for making this video about Quarkchain. All right, bye.